Hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, so happy to see everybody. I hope everyone is safe. Yeah, things are, we hope some kind of medication is up soon. That's what the news says, at least in the vaccines, or everybody is trying for one or the other vaccines, and we hope, let's keep the fingers crossed and something good is going to happen soon. But till then, everyone, please be safe. Please take care of your hands, your mask, everything. That's the rule number one, and be safe.
We have a lot of people waiting for
Yes.
us to introduce the
Good.
great photographer today.
Oh my God, I'm waiting. It's like it's that his one figure and the style of his photography is so amazing. Something which you cannot, you think how the hell, I mean, how he managed to do this. So he is going to share the tips and tricks which he do, the equipments he used, his approach, and everything in detail. So we'll do that. Right, just a small introduction about our initiative.
Yeah,
So, Paws Trails is a collective collaboration of a group of dedicated nature lovers to bring humans closer to nature through the medium of photography and art. We have started this organization 6 years ago with our wildlife photography workshops to different locations, and then three other verticals added: the magazine, events, and education. So, right now, the webinars too.
we have done 33 online magazines, one international wildlife festival, 60 plus international workshops and lectures, 23 photography exhibitions, and last month we have started with the virtual photography exhibition. We have a collective social media followers of 1.5 million plus. We have planted 40,000 saplings across the world. We have 200 plus international contributors from all over the world who support us with their photographs, articles, videos, etc. We also published and produced 2 coffee table books. The first book is The Big Cat Trails, where we have published 101 images of the big cats from across the world. And the second book is The Arabian Trails, regarding the species from Arabian Peninsula. So this is our so far journey.
So, where's the man?
Today we have with us our
Dearest
wonderful
Rich.
photographer, Gurcharan. Gurcharan is based in Kenya. His works are mainly he's I think he's doing this from long, like I don't know how many years he is. We'll ask everything about him, but
The
I'm a
specialty is
big,
the low
I'm a big
angle
fan
shot.
of his low angle photos, especially those rhinos and the giraffes. Amazing photos, I have to say. And let me add him to the live.
Hi, Guch.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah,
Good.
nice to see you two again. It's been a long while, huh?
Yes.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it's definitely been a long while. I think the last time we met was when you're doing a trip to Kenya.
Yeah, with some equipment.
Nice to see you guys, and beautiful. It's been a long journey with you guys. You know, we did the Nat Geo event in Dubai
Yeah.
where I came in to do a talk there. That was, believe it or not, my first ever talk on stage.
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
you told that.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
then
look
on the
like it
first
was
day,
the first.
I was supposed to speak on the last day, and I remember on the first day, you guys came and said, "Oh, look, someone's cancelled. We need you to take over the mic and handle this." And my knees were shaking at that time.
Yeah.
But it
And the
went
book,
well. It went well. It was a beautiful event, and thank you very much for inviting me and taking me there. And again, thank you very much once again for the invitation today. Really appreciate it.
A lot of fans and followers are waiting for you to share your experience and to
even
share
I'm
your
waiting.
knowledge, including myself.
You wouldn't want to put yourself through what I put myself through. I'm smelling clean. I'm good today. Yeah, so it's okay. No, it's an honest truth. Sometimes, I never leave the lodge without showering in the morning. So I'll go out, obviously I'll shower, and then I'll go for my game drive. If I go into a conservancy where I'm allowed to leave the vehicle and I'm allowed to, I'll make sure I do everything legally, so I don't get into trouble with rangers, because that just spoils the fun.
Correct.
So I'll finish that, and then I'll come back and I'll look at myself and I'll be like, damn it, I need to shower again. And then I go for breakfast after
We do it
that.
the other way around. We do the shower once we are back.
So talk about wasting water. I might shower 3 times on the day. But it's only because I get covered, if I need to lie down for that perfect shot, I don't care what's on the ground. As long as my location is perfect, I'll lie down. And it's only until I get up and I'll be like, okay, that wasn't the best of ideas, but I got the shots. That's the end of the story. And
there are situations.
I know yeah, exactly. And I know you guys are talking about ground level photography, but again, I do a lot of aerial photography as well, through choppers, through special gadgets these days. And I'm not drones. I don't use drones. Yeah. And I'm probably I think myself and maybe the 2 other photographers who haven't thrown up on the chopper. Otherwise, everyone is there. I think it's just that factor of the focus becomes so much behind the camera, you forget about everything else. And I'll be the guy telling the pilot, saying, "Oh, I want there, angle more." More angle.
You have done many trips in chopper, so you might be used to that now.
Yeah, now I'm a bit more used to it. But surprisingly, the last trip I had, I did start feeling that it was getting a bit, and the pilot was really listening to me and throwing the chopper around.
Peter said he's again looking forward to do it next time when we are doing.
I would.
In fact, we were supposed to come in July 28th or 23rd. I don't know.
28th.
I had 6 people confirmed trip, so we canceled that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We might
And
push
we have
it
pushed it to November. Let's see how it is going to go.
Yeah, that's number one is should I say safety, and once we can get past that safety barrier, then for sure, I believe we're opening up for flights next month.
August 1st. That's what you said.
That's what they're saying. August will open up, but I've got a trip to Solio planned, so more rhino photos coming soon. Huh?
Oh, wow.
Exactly. And I'm working on some new devices. I have made modifications to some of the devices that I'm currently using, and I'm building new devices. And it's all about, I want it to be in such a way that I want, in this case, animals to kick them about. Before it was always about, oh my God, my camera needs to be safe. Now I'm passing that stage. I'm saying, kick it, it's okay. Let's see what we can do.
Let's see what is the shot, the kicking shot.
Yeah, let's see what you, come on. You make one shot, one mine, one your plan.
Last time I took your cage and went to Mara, and it was literally taken by one lion and it ran away.
Is that the photo with the D850 with the cage being picked up and taken away? Yeah.
So
and
luckily, we got it back just before it passed to the bush.
Yeah.
Oh wow! lucky. That's so
Really
lucky.
Our guide
That
John
was-
was like, he was literally crying, "Don't go, don't go, don't go." Because you know that I'll make sure he should drive inside.
But what I've learned from my experiences is before I was painting them, and when they're being painted, then there's a taste factor to it. But if you leave it as metal that's corroded, there's rust on it and stuff like that, then the factor changes. The reason the factor changes is I think the animals find car spare parts lying around and they now understand the taste of rust. That this is metal, we can't chew it, it doesn't taste good anymore, or there's nothing going to happen with this. So I think when that taste of rust and metal comes, then they just drop it and move on. Yeah, experience, experience talking.
Tip number one.
Number one. Don't paint your toy. Yeah. So let's
Yeah, let's move on to the
let's
session.
move on. I think you can start with the presentation and we
Sure.
will just move aside.
Thank you. Yeah, but by all means, please, if you have any questions or any photos, do stop me. Let's go through them. It'll give me a break from talking to myself as well in the nicest of ways.
Usually,
You know, when you're sitting with an audience, you can see the audience and you can see the reaction, and then you work with the
Yeah, we
reaction.
understand what you.
You know, I'm hoping my iMac will give me some reactions. Yeah, my phone is shaking. So if you see me going blurry, you know it's my phone.
that the problem is we will, with your kind of images, you will have to stop with every image in that case. So it's better.
I am happy to do so. I'm very happy to do so. I have no secrets. And the major reason I don't want to keep secrets is because we're talking about ethical photography here. We're not talking about disturbing, pushing, creating drama. We're talking about natural drama. That's what we want to go forward with.
And before starting, there is a frequent question that I always people ask me: is it allowed to lie down in a national park?
To begin with,
exactly. Now there is, it's park dependent. So what I would do is, if let's say you go to Masai Mara, the main reserve itself, definitely not, because the rangers will get you for it. But however, if you then choose a conservancy, be open with the conservancy and tell them, look, guys, I'm here. I have a drone, or I have a camera box, or I have a buggy, and this is what I intend to do. Send them pictures of your devices as well, if you want to, saying, look, this is the device, this is what I want to do. Then they will say, no, you can't do this in our conservancy, or yes, you can. And a lot of conservancies are very easygoing about it. They don't have issues with it. And a lot of times I've gone to these conservancies, I've shown them to the drivers, the guides, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is fun, let's go and try it. And saying more to that is, I do a lot of work with Amboseli Trust for Elephants. And when I'm working with them, the first time I went there, I went into them and I got one of the boxes out and I said, look, this is what I've got. This is how the camera works. This is how it triggers. So the plan is that we drop it and then the elephants come and cross it. So they were all like, we've never tried this. Let's go try it. We went, we put it out for the first group of elephants that crossed the camera. And the researchers loved it so much that same group, we put the camera 5 or 6 times, pick it up, good, we're going again. And we put it, and I was less excited and they were more excited. Come on, we're going again. But it's all down to show that even these guys who do animal research, they're also happy with the device, or the factor is that we're not injuring the animal. It's just trying to pick up their reactions, and their reactions is what are giving us the shot. And that's it. It's, if I ever made a device that would injure an animal or something, it's not what I'm looking for. It's not something I'd like to do. And if that device does do that, it's going in the bin for sure, and it's back onto the drawing board. But I don't even want to be at that stage where I'm injuring an animal. Yeah. And even more better, I don't want to injure a camera either. Nikon won't be happy. Yeah.
All right.
So guys, on the presentation, it's going to be a bit of a journey. It's a story about my journey from how I got into this stuff and then the shots I've captured, and then once I've shown you a couple of shots, the device that was used to capture them, and then again, more shots, the device that was used. So that's how it's going to be portrayed, and let's give it our best and see how it goes. All
Sure.
right. So obviously, many of you, I always like to introduce myself. I don't need to really put my name up there. My background, I'm an automotive engineer. I studied a bachelor's in automotive engineering. I lived in the UK for 10 years. I've been back in Kenya now around 8 years. During my time in the UK, I was a project manager in the construction industry. Now I'm a director at Rock Plant East Africa. We do construction equipment all through East Africa. Photography is literally a weekend thing for me. It's not a weekday. It's not an everyday. Yeah, I think about it all the time, but it's not that I am a pro photographer. I do workshops mainly during Christmas holidays, because that's when I can leave work, and then I'll go and I'll maybe, if anyone wants to join me in the Mara, or you want to choose a different location, I'll then be happy to go with you on that location. We can pre-discuss if you want low level or you want aerial. We can pre-discuss, we can plan. I can set up the itinerary in regards to location and permissions to use the equipment and things like that. But it's not the main key for me. The main key for me, this is just art, expressing myself and having fun. This is what the whole of this is all about for me. Yeah. Like a lot of us photographers out there, wildlife photographers, the first thing a wildlife photographer thinks about is telephoto, 400 mil, 500 mil, 600 mil, 800 mil. And I saw that, a lot of wildlife photographers, and hey, we all know that a 400 2.8 is what, $10,000 plus. You know what I mean? All these cameras and lenses are seriously expensive. Not saying that I don't have them. I do have them, but it gives you a very particular type of photo. You either are zooming into sort of details, or you know what I mean? Everyone is, and it gives you very few opportunities to doing something different. It's always the same. It's kind of the same image. Not saying that guys, telephotos, that's the end. You can still pick up beautiful stuff, but what I'm saying is that your art is limited. You know what I mean? It's really limiting, and it doesn't tell the whole story about a landscape or what's going on. Like here, this is a 380 millimeter shot, low light, 1800 ISO, and I am there, I am low, and I'm taking this shot, and I'm having fun at the same time. But what this doesn't tell you is there was a story happening all around us. And this is the same lion, the same day, just that he got up and he started walking. And now look at the story it tells you. There's the sky, there is the beautiful rain in the back. I'm known for, in Nairobi, when there's a thunderstorm approaching, I'll be in the park straight away, because I want to capture something different. I don't want to capture what everyone has captured. I'm sure somebody has done this before, but I want to tell my story. You know what I mean? And the story got told so well, but this was my introduction to you guys. This is how we got introduced, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. I met Nisha over coffee to talk about, can we use this image for the book cover? Thank you very much. This is one of your books, and that's the cover. Yeah.
That was our first coffee table book.
Yes.
Yeah, a first book cover for me as well. Yeah, thank you guys for bringing me.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, and it went initially into wide angle. I started using. I won a competition with Nikon in Kenya, and I had some prize money to go with it. So rather than taking the prize money, I decided to take a 24-70 from Nikon, because at that time I was a wildlife photographer and I must use a telephoto lens. And I just said, let me get this 24-70. It's not something I need for wildlife, but I'll try portraiture one day. And look at it now. Yeah, 24-70 is my favorite lens in wildlife. Yeah. So one day I decided to start taking it out with me, and slowly by slowly I started getting into wide-angle photography in wildlife, and I started talking about telling the story. I mean, here's a shot with a 14-24 wide angle, and we had the most dramatic skies and a crazy storm that came through. And I really tried looking for a giraffe or an elephant, and we scanned the horizons and we didn't get it. But hey, I'm not complaining because Mara has this amazing, beautiful single trees with landscapes. And look, you can even see the hole in the sky. It's like it's going to suck the tree up. But this thunderstorm came from the back, and it was the most beautiful stuff. I love these days capturing this sort of stuff. Talking about now, let's talk about getting into low level photography. And here, this is sort of a low level photography, but with still a telephoto lens, 290 millimeter. In this case, I got lucky. The ostrich was on a little bit of a mound, and we got this shot. And you know, it's still amazing to see that, or we should still keep trying to get a picture or get something different. And again, you know, here we are again. It's still a telephoto lens. This was my 400 or 200, 400. I managed to get really low in this case, and I got a photo of this. So I'm not saying wide angles are it, but telephotos still work. But my preference is definitely wide angle. Yeah. Now going into the presentation, talking about getting low, wide angle photography, low down as much as possible. The grass nearer to me is taller than the elephant, which is definitely not possible. But talking about a story, telling the stories, yeah. And I'll come up to, after a few shots, I'll talk about how I got it. But again, you know, same sort of scenario, very, very low down. And you definitely don't want to be lying down in front of an elephant, elephant or lion in this case, like that, yeah. 48 millimeter it is with my 24-70. And again, you know, low level, how are you going to try and achieve this? You just keep trying, and you know, one day you'll finally get somewhere when you can achieve this sort of stuff. And it's not rocket science. All this gear, until I get into very specialist stuff, all this gear is readily available from the shelf. It's just how you put it together. And that's what's important. And we will go through that as well. And here we go. Again, a low level, cropped very differently, background blacked in, and, you know, elephants. They are so amazing. But you know what's beautiful with elephants is if you drive straight up to an elephant expecting to get the most amazing shot, please forget it. Because that elephant's going to get nervous and he's going to disappear. However, you go and spend half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. If the elephant's walking, keep your 10, 15 meters away and just keep following it, keep going in the direction, or you can see the direction it's going into. Go and park up far in front. Once you've parked up far in front, let the elephant come to you. And when that sort of scenario happens, I promise you, the photography will change because the animal is now comfortable and the animal is saying, hey, photograph me. I'm here. What do you want to do with me? Yeah. Again, low level. This was, I believe, Lipstick. He's passed away now. The single Mara tree, the wide open landscapes, you know, storytelling. Storytelling is, I think, the bigger way to go with photography, or my view of it is storytelling. When you start telling these sort of stories, sometimes you go over wide. It's, I don't know, did I get it right or wrong? You can always come back and crop it later. I mean, the Z7 and the 850 are so amazing. You can crop so much out of them. But, you know, we're trying to tell stories, and this is what I'm enjoying. Yeah. Same tree, the whole, once Lipstick passed away, the whole pride came following. Yeah. And again, you know, everyone's walking away. I've never counted how many there are, but there's a fair few. And it works, storytelling works. And this, when I show you what this device is, I'm going to be about 5 photos away from that. You won't believe how simple, how straightforward this device is. And anyone can do this. Yeah. Again, dramatic skies, a beautiful family in silhouette, the sun setting. If this doesn't tell you a story, I don't know, looking for stories, this is probably the images are portraying stories, and that's what's important. It's about a family. It's about dramatic skies. This would probably be a day or two before I got that first shot of the rain coming in. It was just around that time, when the thunders or when the storms come in, they start brewing in slowly by slowly, and then they come in. So, understanding animal behavior, understanding the weather, all these things will help you get better shots. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe going to another country, maybe going to South Africa and going and doing wildlife photography. But then I always see myself in that situation saying, I don't understand the location. I don't understand what's going on so much. I need to probably go there and understand the environment, understand the weather, understand what the animal's behavior is like before I can go out and do something. And maybe I could say I understand animal behavior, so I'm fine with that. But it'd be nice to know which months have the dramatic weather. And I always plan my trips based on that weather and based on drama when I expect the sky to have drama, because I'm going large and I'm going open. Another story to be told, brand new born little zebra. We've got the vultures that are waiting for the placenta, or if something goes wrong, we're here. And the mom's there trying to watch its baby while it stands up. I mean, they only take around 5 to 15 minutes to stand up. And the shots were all taken with that. I kept a safe distance so the mom doesn't feel threatened. A hyena came in, and the mom still defended the baby, but the dad is the one who chased the hyena away, which was so amazing to watch. The dad was staying in the area, and, stories are being told. Again, dramatic skies. You'll probably get bored of seeing skies after this, but I'm going to make you bored, so don't worry. Yeah. Dramatic skies again. Low level, ground completely, elephant. This is one of those situations where I've spent an hour or an hour and a half with this guy to at least get something interesting. And it came to a point where he was so comfortable with me that he would come and graze. My guide had his heart in his mouth. He was so close. He was literally inches. At one point, he crossed the car with inches. And I was like, is he going to give it a move, or is he going to push the car? And he didn't. But it's again, you're trying to create that comfort level. You're trying to break that boundary where you're looked at as a bad object. You want to be looked at as a great object. And this is a guy who's friendly, and the vibes you're passing on to these animals are, he's friendly. He's only here to take a photograph. I was talking to Amboseli Trust for Elephants, and they said you should always go there, and you should always go to an elephant and say, hey, I'm Gurcharan, I've come to take photos of you, and I come in peace. Because elephants have such a great memory. When you do come again, do the same thing. They'll recognize your voice, and they'll recognize, oh, it's that guy who was looking for that great shot. Maybe he'll be planning, or like, maybe I gave him a half shot, now I'll give him a better one. Yeah. And then finally, guys, oh, wait, one more shot. I was surprised. Yeah, one more shot to go. This is Lightroom. Hopefully it'll process the shot and we'll be able to see it better. But again, same elephant, just a slightly closer and closer and closer. And finally, here's the device. Simple, guys. Monopod popped out of the car. I'm using the flip screen on the D850 to compose in live view. I pre-select the focus point. I'm using a very standard, simple Nikon. I believe it's called a WR something 10, R10 or something like that, because this can go onto the, should I say, the USB type connector or the round connectors. So the 850 upwards or the 750 downwards have this one. And a very simple trigger. It works in the distance I want it. It actually works to around 50, 60 meters. So you can actually put your camera and move away. Yeah, and very, very simple. Connect viewfinder. If you find that maybe you want to zoom in, all you have to do is pick up the monopod, change your composition, drop it back down. Don't like it, change the focus point. Same scenario. What I was doing is I was not using. I was using like a single, not continuous focus, single point. So what you do is you'd focus on your subject, then relocate your camera to change the composition, then fire. So you're constantly, you know what I mean? You're just playing around. It works beautifully. It's very relatively simple. Yes, it does take some upper body to try and keep moving it up and down, but hey, a lot of us go to the gym these days. Okay, changing the ball game again. Here, look, we've got this lovely, lovely fish eagle, very low level. I mean, this is where this development came in. And the reason for this development was there's no way you're going to be allowed, or the fish eagle will let you come close to her with a monopod. As soon as you bring your car anywhere near her, she'll run away, or he'll run away. Yep. So then came the development saying, how can I put myself in a situation where I can fill my frame with a wide angle lens, but not one, risk the camera? It doesn't matter. It's only insurance. Or most importantly, risk injuring or risk injury to myself, and in turn injury to the animal. Because if I come out of the vehicle in a situation, well, not in a fish eagle, but at least in a situation like this, if I'm out of the vehicle and I'm low down here, and that rhino by any chance injures me, the first reaction that's going to happen is everyone's going to go and try and gun down that rhino, saying it's a man killer now, or it's crazy, it's mad. That is not the situation I want to be in. I'd rather it breaks my camera, and either you can pay by insurance. If you don't want to pay by insurance, you save money and you buy a new camera. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world with equipment, but I don't want to see the loss of a rhino, or neither do I want to injure myself. Yeah. Again, and now the same sort of format. You know, we're going with this format. We've got rhino walking across low level. Nikon Kenya used this in their training room. They've got a full wall size print, or should I say a wallpaper of this shot in the training room. And I was blown away by what the D850 in this case could do. It was unbelievable on the amount of details and quality that that camera can give you on a shot. Yeah, this was one of those sort of still out there as well, one of those wow moments. This was the first time I tried out this device, and the first animal at the same time. And you can see all this drama with all this mud flying. It's not really mud, it's honestly poo. Yeah. And it's rhino poo, and it's trying to shuffle the poo. And the reason it was trying to do that was the shutter of the camera. When the shutter hit, or the shutter sound came in, it surprised the animal. And it obviously made a, whoa, what was that sort of factor? And this is where that shot came in. And here, I was trying to explain this on a live session the other day, and I got so excited about it that I said everything in the opposite direction. And what I was trying to say was, it was with Nisha's and Hermes as well. I have the 2470, and when you put a lens, or when the lens is out, that is 24 millimeter. And then when you push the lens in, it actually zooms. Yeah. It's, even though the lens is going in, it's actually zooming. So I was using my lens cap to try and make sure I keep dust, because I'm trying to prepare for a shot in an instant, and you want to have everything ready to go. And dust is a problem with wildlife photography. And I always have a rocket blower and I blow, but you also want to try and manage the dust, because sometimes something happens so fast you don't have time to look at it, or you time to prepare it. You just want to crack on fast. So in this case, I took off the lens cap, not realizing that the lens had zoomed, dropped it down, got this great, got all these shots, but that I don't know what I'm getting. I'm just clicking away. And I came back and I picked up the camera, And the first thing I noticed is that the lens had zoomed to 55mm, and I was like, oh, I might have missed my shots. And then I went to the viewfinder. I saw this guy as one of my few shots in there. I was blown away. Sometimes luck does help and it does come into place. Yeah, and it worked out. And then on a similar situation, wow, look at this. Look at this. Rhino closed up, some dust in the background, making it look like I'm getting attacked. None of that sort of stuff. The camera still lives to tell the story. Yeah, and I'm still using it to date. Yeah, I did send it to Nikon to clean up, and they said it's the dirtiest camera they've ever handled. Not saying much more about it. Yeah, but again, and finally, how did I take this? It's a ghillie suit. When you watch those sniper movies, it's just covering the camera. There's the poo that the rhino was trying to shuffle. And then on the fish eagle shot, we left the camera down there, exposed, open, because I didn't expect the fish eagle to come and bite on it. But with the rhinos on the left-hand side, that was a ghillie suit. And the ghillie suit is pretty good. It kind of hides it away, but there was no protection on it whatsoever. It was just like, I'm wishing for the luck I can get. I wouldn't do this next to a lion because I know the lion's going to pick it up and walk off with it. But you know what I mean? It's you're trying to push the boundary to try and get these shots, and you're trying to keep your equipment safe. You're trying to work out the best spot. Now, getting a good guide is such an amazing, such an important factor. In this case, my guide pre-warned me, and he says, "Gooch, you see where all that, where the midden is? Please go and set up your camera in the midden, because that rhino that's walking across is going to come in and he's going to come and smell on the midden." And I didn't know what that meant until that day, and I went and read about this. And the understanding is that when rhinos, because some of them, black rhinos, are very solitude animals, yeah, and they're always alone. So what you want to do, or what they come and do, is they go to these middens where the females also come in. They all poo in the same spot. So the guide used to call it the public toilet. So they all go and they use the public toilet. So now, to try and work out which females are on heat or who's in this area, the rhinos come and they sniff the poo, and then they can identify individuals from that. Hey, who wants to try that practice? Huh? So imagine that, you constant. And I was reading this book on research about rhinos, and what the guy was writing in the book and said is that let's say you're relocating a rhino. So the first guys who relocated one of the first few rhinos picked up this rhino from one park, moved him to another park, and as soon as he was put there, the dominant male in that area came in, there was a fight, and one of them lost their life. And the risk factor is so large. This is such an important species for conservation. We don't want to lose rhinos. There's a big issue with rhinos worldwide. And what do you do? So then the guys were like, okay, what's happening? So they did more research, and then they realized that, hey, what if we smear, or they pick up the poo from the guy who they wanted to bring into the new place, or the new rhino they wanted to bring in. They'd pick up his poo and smear it in the midden. And the other rhino would come in, or the dominant rhino would come in and have a sniff, and instantly his whole attitude changed, and he'd look around saying, where is this guy? Who is this guy around here? And they'd keep doing that until he gets so used to it that he gets the factor where it's like, okay, where's this guy? I want to see him one day. And that's when you release the new rhino into the park. And then it's like, oh, so that's the guy I've been smelling. You know what I mean? Yeah. But again, you have to understand, 1, your subject, 2, your camera, and then 3, luck will come together. Fingers crossed. Okay, going to obviously this is talking about a new device towards the end, and let's go through that. Come on, Hermes has come in. He wants to ask a question. Go for it.
There was a eagle photo that you have shown before.
This one, yeah? Or should I say the original photo, which I'll go back?
Yeah.
And here, this one. Yes.
Yeah. Some of our audience want to know about the settings that you used for this.
It is 1:50 f 6.3 ISO 100 at 60 millimeter.
Okay, and the equipment, the device was
D850. In looking at the 60 mil, I'm surprised. I thought it was it's the 2470, the 2470 lens.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And actually, you can you see it so clearly? No, you can't see it so clearly. It's the 2470. Yeah, f2.8.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So again, beautiful story to be told. Jackal coming to inspect the camera. Shutter speed is making it think. We've got silhouette of all the heartbeats at the back. Dramatic skies. Some stories, sometimes stories. Yeah. Here, lion coming to inspect the camera. We've got two more lions, one between in the middle and the second one between its legs. Unfortunately, I couldn't separate, or the horizon, or should I say the landscape didn't allow me to separate that one from the horizon. But, beautiful story again. You don't get this sort of shot often. Yeah. But when it does come, it comes beautifully. Yeah. This is probably, I would say, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be lying down. Male lion walking straight up to the camera, had a sniff of it and moved on. That's it. Just had a sniff of it. We spoke earlier about this because the case was very metallic. It was corroded. He had a taste of it. He had a sniff of it. He realized it's metal and he just left it and moved on. All he could hear was click, 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 which is why he probably came to have a look at it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the shot perfect. This is my own criticism. There's one blade of grass that's coming across just here. And this blade of grass messed up my focus for all the shots of the lion walking towards the camera. So the only shot that I've got right is where he was in the same level of plane, the same plane of focus. Yeah. And again, this is the first time I tried this device with elephants. Usually I was using them. Before this, I was on the monopod, and I definitely didn't want to leave my camera on the ground for an elephant to come and play with it without being protected. And look at this. You know what I mean? The baby came, tried to scare the camera away. The camera didn't get scared, and it still went on clicking. It, shouted. And from this, the baby walked off and went straight to the mom. And this is communication in animals. Yeah. It went straight to the mom. It spoke, said something to the mom, and the mom came back to the camera. And I'll be honest with you, the camera was crushed from the top, rolled over, crushed, rolled over, crushed, rolled over, crushed, pointed downwards, crushed, rolled over again, crushed, finally pointed in this direction for the last crush. And I've got that shot. And my insurance company loves me. I'm the ambassador for them. I'm only joking. We'll come back to it. But this is, how often do you get a shot like this? And even that, how often does the animal get you the shot you want? And, talking about it, look, this is the story I was telling earlier with Amboseli Trust for Elephants. We put the camera out, we went in, we took these shots. They were like, no, pick up your device. We're moving forward. We're putting it again for the same family. The family was called the FB family, a Facebook family. FB family, or because they've got the A family, the B family, and the AA and the AB, and they've got all these families listed out. So this was the FB family. And I've got these amazing, amazing shots. Let me just see which one the next one is. Yes, it is. Here we go. I've tried to go for a overexposed type of image on this. We've got a bird flying across. I love those sort of things. We've got the whole family walking towards the camera. I mean, this one at the front is a baby. You can see from the tusks, but because of the angle, it really looks like a big elephant. We use this image into raising funds for Amboseli Trust for Elephants. We sold the image a couple of times with every cent, including my costs for getting into Amboseli. I didn't charge for that. I didn't charge for printing. We put every single cent that I got for this shot back to Amboseli Trust back to Amboseli Trust for their thank you, and we're trying to help them work towards this target of saving our elephants, which is so important. These guys are so difficult. These are, honestly, from all the animals I've tried, buffaloes are the most difficult. I mean, this is still not getting what I wanted, but they're so difficult. I'm still happy to get it. In this case, I literally had to go and pick up leaves and cover up the camera with leaves and, hide it so it just looks like grass or blends into the landscape, but they would still pick it up. And as soon as one of the group would pick it up, the whole group just walks around it. It's like just, there's some communication. They know there's something there and they just walk around it. And you're like, come on, guys. Yeah. Wildebeest, again, low level, close up, wide angle at 20 millimeter. In this case, I was using a 20 millimeter f1.8 prime lens. I tried to increase the shutter speed because I was anticipating some running. So I have a 1/1000 and increase the ISO so I could hit that shutter speed as well and get the shot. And then sometimes you get even more luckier and you get only a leg. the elephant comes so close that you get only a leg. Yeah. Or the elephant comes close enough to give you, ooh, what's going on here? Yeah. You get the whole elephant and he's looking down at the camera, lights from the back, really difficult shot to work with. But you then have to start practicing some editing in Lightroom and you come across to something like this. But the main part is getting the key shot and then you can work on it afterwards, which is fine. Moving on again, next shot. Hey, 3 guys posing for me with a cattle egret in the middle as well. We have a joke going around. So whenever we see an egret with elephants, it's now an elephant egret. If we see it with buffaloes, it's a buffalo egret. It's not a cattle egret anymore. Yeah. Stuff we do to keep ourselves busy when we're out in the park. Yeah. Try to entertain ourselves. Yeah. But, here we go again. Sky tells a story. The tree tell a story. The Amboseli tree in the background, a bit cropped, but tells a story. The bird in there tells a story as well. Yeah, moving on to the next shot. I initially thought this was too far to capture. I still got it. Yeah. Nice single male walking across, beautiful sky. I love how the curves in the sky are coming. Sometimes I think I'm more of a sky photographer than an animal photographer. A lot of people are very concerned about settings and sharpness and look, f2.2. You'd have thought that it would be pin sharp on the elephant, but the sky is in there. It's because of the distance between the two subjects that is allowing me to get my settings wrong, but still get a shot that works.
And a lot of people ask, how do you manage the aperture while doing this type of photography?
The reason why it's at f2.2 is probably because I went on shutter priority. Yeah, and I did 1/800th of a second, and the camera did everything else automatically. So all my stuff I'll do on either aperture priority or shutter priority. And when the two of them are working between those two priorities, it'll automatically work the rest out. We all know cameras are, and especially there's 2 ways of looking at it. You can either go and buy the cheapest camera possible because you expect it to break. And when you do that, when you get it wrong, the camera doesn't save you. Or you could go and buy the Pro FX good cameras. And if something goes wrong, you can work on the raw file in Lightroom with a lot more space. And it'll allow you to work a lot better. Yeah.
And
I'm just looking at sorry, go again.
What about focusing? How do you focus? Is it manual focus or autofocus?
Autofocus. Yeah, so I'll maybe choose a center. So depending on the scene that I'm expecting, in this case, I was expecting a, I was expecting distance. So I'd put the focus point pretty low within the frame, or I'd do a group focus. In this case, I believe I was using, if I'm not wrong, the D4S. So you can do a group focus, and I'd put a group focus not in the middle, but slightly lower than the middle of the frame. And then I'm standing behind the camera in a vehicle or whatever the case is. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to pick up the location of where I think it's hitting dead center, and then I release the shots. I've used automatic triggers. You know, where you've got an animal crossing a PIR, it crosses or it cuts the beam and you get the shot. But that tends to give you a surprise shot or the animal ignoring you. In this case, you aim, you wait for the moment, and then you release the shot, and then this happens. Yeah, it works out. It's fun. You know, it gives you it gives you a lot of options to play with, and then when you do get it right, it works. When you get it wrong, you know, you just go home and say, "We're going to try again tomorrow, guys. Yeah, let's try and work that again tomorrow."
Yeah.
So it's just one of those sort of situations. And as wildlife photographers, I'm sure, Hamis, you understand that not every day you're going to get everything. I mean, I spent yesterday evening and this morning I was out early in the park and I haven't got a single shot to show for that. Yeah. And we have a lot of those sort of dry days, and some days we get lucky. And what you see on my Facebook and my Instagram is only when I got lucky. You don't see when I got unlucky. So you think I'm very lucky. Yeah, of course, because I'm only showing you my luck. I'm not showing you my bad luck, which is from, let's say, for example, I'll share maybe 100 or 200 shots maximum a year is what you'll see shared. In honesty, I've got another 200,000 shots in the background that I don't want to share. You definitely don't want to see those, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll move on to the next shot. Again, here, look at this. How much more closer can you get? This was a D750. Again, the 20mm prime. I had a high shutter speed, low light on that day, and I've got because it was so close, a very narrow depth of field with this guy in the background, all out of focus. You know, I don't plan for these shots. The animals give them to me. I honestly don't plan this shot. I just put the camera out there saying, let's see what we're going to get today. And some days you get lucky, and other days you don't. And as I was telling Hermes there, or you guys as well, it's not every day you get lucky. And here, this is again D750. The settings are out there. You get lucky. Yeah, the animal comes. He comes to sniff. He comes to play with it. I've missed putting a shot here, but you'll see it on my Instagram. After this, the group came from behind. They looked at the device. They had, what's this? And they started kicking it, and they started kicking it like a ball. It went on and on and on until I end up with a shot of me sitting in the Land Rover with the elephant trunk coming to pick up what looks like it's trying to pick up the Land Rover. Yeah. Go ahead and check it out on my Instagram. Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Migration time. This guy, you know, they all get supercharged, and it's all about dominance with the males and keeping the females together. And this is one of those sort of shots. And finally, I know all of you guys have been waiting for it, but I'm trying to pull it longer and longer just so that you guys can wait. And, you know, it's building up the, you know, what is it going to show us? The device. Finally, the device. As I said, corroded, simple device. I mean, I'd been playing for around, this was not one of my first boxes. I had a few boxes before I got to this, but this one worked the best. It still works. The shot Hermes was talking about is one of these devices with the lion that's picked it up and walked off. Again, you know, in this case, I have, I believe, the D4S onto it. Yeah. The trigger mechanism is within that little pelly case on the side. The triggers in that. This was a very new trigger for me. One of my good friends now, he was at that time, he's the guy who made a lot of devices for me, Carl Hansen. He's New Zealand based, and he built this device, or he built the trigger mechanism for me that it can fire up to 1 kilometer away. And I'll show you in the next few shots how amazing this little device is. Yeah. The trigger mechanism, but this is what keeps the camera safe from all the animals. I've never seen a lion pick it up and walk off, but I don't see a lion trying to go in, or any animal that's gone in trying to pull this thing apart. They just come, they taste it, they feel it's metal, they move on. And it's just one of those metal things that makes noise at you, you know, click, 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 yeah, depending on what we're shooting. Here, then the biggest trouble with this device, before I go further on, was trying to pick up herbivores, like I was telling you, with the buffaloes, and it took me years before I could get a shot of a zebra walking up to it. And then when I did finally crack it, I cracked it well, I hope. And for those guys, if you can see me, or if you can, I'll try and zoom it in. That's me down there. Yeah, that's me there. So it's the biggest, one of the furthest selfies I've ever taken. So
it's like a toy car.
Matchbox or Hot Wheels? Yeah, which one do you like better? Yeah, but this is another thing that I find that is quite important on this, is your distance from the device. If you are hanging around nearby, they look at the device, they know it's something alien, they look at you, and then they decide to walk away from it. However, if you go in this case, I was a good 400-500 meters away. I actually took this shot with my binoculars. I was looking through the binoculars and I was like, okay, what's the moment to trigger? What's the moment to trigger? I had no idea it had triggered. Only the reaction on the zebra let me know that I had triggered the shot. Yeah. And, he probably got, what's that clicking sound? You know what I mean? The animals are so sensitive, which is so amazing. And I had been standing nearby, but they would never come close. They'd just walk around it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let me go away and let me go and try something. So I went and I stood away and I was like, okay, here I am with binoculars. Let's see what happens. It took me a good half an hour of waiting before I got the shot anyway. Yeah, but, good things come with a lot of time spent. Huh? Yeah, oops, what have I done wrong? Let me try and see. Here we go. Yeah. So, again, we're talking about trying to get herbivores walking towards me. And this is one of those shots. This was, should I say, one of those moments that was, yes, I got it. And I got it so well that, yes, I got it even more wild. Yeah. Again, beautiful, beautiful stuff. It took me a long time to understand what would work to zebras. I'd try out all sorts of devices, go home, back onto the drawing board, try something new, come back again, didn't work, try again, didn't work, try again, didn't work. And this is what finally worked. We've got a fiberglass device that made it look like a rock, mounted the camera into it, and then if you can see in the foreground, there's a few rocks, and tried to go and blend it into those rocks to try and capture those zebras. It really worked. But it never worked for buffaloes again. It worked for zebras on this one time, and then I'd go and place it on grass. It would fail. So it's very specific to the environment. So this would only work for a rocky location. So then, you kind of back to the drawing board. I need to find a device that will now work with grass. Or now I have a device where, guys, it's rainy season in Mara, so the grass is going to be green. Let's paint it green. It's dry season. We'll get a lot of yellows. Now let's work on paint the device yellow. So I'm constantly changing colors on it. Okay, and different types of shots. And I finally cracked the code with buffaloes. From the first image to this image would definitely be around 2 years or 3 years of research or mucking about. Not a full-time weekend basis, but I finally cracked what works for buffaloes. And it works for lions as well. The same device works for both. And even better, it worked with a serval cat. Yeah, the serval cat was so interested in this device. It was so... Yeah, I was blown away by what this device did. And it even worked with more buffaloes, single buffaloes. And it even worked with baboons. Yeah, like, ooh, guys, what's going on here? You know what I mean? You get that thought, what's he thinking about? It works so well. And then it blew me away with elephants as well. It works so beautifully with elephants. So amazing to the fact that the elephants would tactfully walk over it as well. This was one of those sort of magic moments that the device worked. The device really, really worked for me. It worked with cubs. It worked so amazingly well with cubs. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, in this case, I had my Z7 in it. And the major reason was the Z7 is silent. It's not releasing the shutter like the D850 or the D750. And that's what brought this together. These shots were all down to the Z7. Yeah, great camera. Great work, great silence. There is a shutter sound, but it's more like, ooh, what's that thing going on, rather than, ooh, damn it, what the hell was that? Yeah. And look at this ground hornbill, topi in the background. Looks like the hornbill's coming to pick up the topi. Yeah. And finally, that's the device. Covered with a helmet for protection. The Z7 inside it, made with a metal housing, covered with a hard hat, a construction hard hat, believe it or not. I give it different colors. On the left-hand side, you can see where my finger is pointing right at the bottom. I've got a little drone camera placed in there with a transmitter, and then I've got a screen in the vehicle so I can plan the right moment to release the trigger. That was always been a difficult situation. You don't know. Sometimes you're standing not right behind the box, you're standing at an angle, and then you're like, ooh, did I get it? Is it the right time? And when you do click, you realize it was the wrong time. I wish you could see how many of those shots I've lost, but you try and improve. And, you like school, when you don't get great marks, you try and study, you try and work harder to get better marks. And this is what it's all been about. Yeah. Jumping on to a different ball game. And look at that. This was one of my shots with the D6. Nikon gave me the D6 to go and have a play with. And I didn't talk to them about it. I didn't say anything about it. I got great D6 shots. Look at that. I had the camera covered in saliva. Oh, sorry, did I tell Nikon about it? I'm not sure. Huh? It was covered in saliva, and I got even better. You know what I mean? It was so beautiful. This device has honestly changed the buffalo world for me, but it doesn't work only with animals that are confident with themselves, predators. It works with those sort of animals. And here comes the device, the D6 on it. Yeah. Yeah. We were using this as the launch video. I don't know if you guys have seen my launch video with the D6. We're using that as a launch in Middle East and Africa. I've been doing the launch for Nikon. We had the VIP launch last week with the launch to the pros. We played that video. I came and spoke about my experience with the D6. Blown away with what that camera can do. But today we're not here to talk about sales of a camera. We're here to talk about photography. It's talking about art and not about devices. It's how you're going to apply this to make beautiful artwork. The bigger question I've always had is, where do you place your camera? Where do you place it? Here's an animal. I've got a wildebeest sitting here in the middle. I've got 360 degrees of landscape around. How do you place it? How do you plan where to go? How do you know animals are coming in? I know in Masai Mara, we've got the highest population per square kilometer of animals in the world. But that doesn't mean that no matter where you look, there's an animal, because it's still places where it's quiet, still places where you don't know what's going to come. So how do you work out which is the right place? Usually what I'll do is I'll see an animal walking in a particular direction. I'll find a way to get ahead of it, place the camera, and then move completely away from it, so that it doesn't feel that, ooh, this, as soon as it sees your vehicle in place, they will try and work another way, or they'll try and find another way around it. But usually for me, on 9 out of 10 times, what works is you placing it in the direction of travel, or the direction the head is facing, because the animals will get up, or your subject will get up and walk in that direction. So that is important. And then, okay, so it's going to be heading, in this case, towards the right-hand side. Which way on the right-hand side, or where should I place it on the right-hand side? Always, can you see these paths? You've got all these paths that are going, you would aim for one of those spots. So you'd always go and place it on one of those spots, and then you will get your magic shot. Yeah, that's the way you do it. I mean, there's a lot of shots that were used in the advertisement, like you've got the one with the 3 giraffes underneath. I haven't put those here because you can see them in the advertisement. Should you wish to have any more information, by all means, go onto my Facebook, go onto my Instagram. All the EXIF data is there. The shot is there. If you want to message me about it, please feel free to do so. Yeah. But, you know, this is or should I say, it's not really magic. It's all about planning, thinking, planning, thinking, planning, thinking. I'm very glad I wear a turban because up there, no hair anymore. I've been thinking so much, it's all gone. Yeah, it's lost. Yeah, so this is my safety on that. Yeah, and I'd just like to end off with saying, look, most important thing, guys, it's about ethical photography. We're here to do it in good ethics. We're not here to disturb the animals, because if they aren't here anymore, what are we going to take photographs of? Landscapes only. So if you want to be a wildlife photographer, let's learn how to respect these animals. In all my workshops, everywhere I go, I do tell this to everyone, and it's absolutely the rule I go with. You go there, and let's say, for example, there's a lion sleeping. Many of us will go there, make a sound, whistle, have something not very obtrusive or intrusive to them, or make some sort of sound, play with a bag or something, but the animal will get up and look and then fall asleep again. Or 9 out of 10 times, he will get up and he'll go and hide inside a bush. But if you sit there, wait for, even if it takes 3 hours, that animal will become so comfortable with that vehicle or whatever you are in that area, that it'll feel that this is now a part of the landscape, and it'll behave so naturally around you that getting shots wouldn't be an issue anymore. They'll do all those natural dances, behaviors, yawns, try and work out where you are. And then, you know, if you want to try and change your location to get the right spot, maybe the sun is setting behind you, or there's another animal you want to try and change the composition with, you move around, because it's been seeing you for the last 3 hours. It doesn't care about you anymore. It's it's going to be very ignorant about you. And, you know, finally, read that line. No cameras were heard in the making of this slideshow. And trust me, I still have my original D850. I have never ever damaged a camera, believe it or not. I've had one camera where we had a bit of an electronics fail in between. I think something to do with the triggers, must have had a short circuit somewhere. The circuit board on the trigger part or the input was repaired, and it's working beautifully even now, and I love it to this date. And thank you very much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate all of you guys coming in, and big appreciation to Paws and Trails, to Hermes and Nisha. They have been with my journey from quite an early start, and love and respect for both of you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you so much.
And
Good.
please, if you've got any questions, go for it.
We have a lot of questions.
I have.
Okay, I'm scared now.
Anybody who is not yet connected to Coach, they can connect with all his website, Facebook, Instagram. Everything is provided here.
Yeah.
Stay connected to him. You can learn a lot following this wonderful photographer.
And a wonderful human.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Guch, I have a question. I remember you remember the photo you shared with the 3 giraffes in one picture.
Yes.
Can you share the story behind it? Helmi, you have the picture with you.
I certainly have the picture with me somewhere in my library. I'll have to, if you don't mind me rummaging through. I'm sorry. I'll have to rummage through a lot of stuff. I should have done a screen share off before. I'll just try and get to around the dates. I think here I've got it. So here we go. That's the shot we're looking at. Yeah, guys, here we look. You've now got evidence. 243,000 photos, and you only see a few of them here.
Yeah, this
yeah,
one.
absolutely. You know, this was with the cage. I developed the other device after. This was with the cage. I went onto the dry lake bed in Amboseli. We were installing a brand new CNC, a metal cutting CNC at our workplace, which is what the new devices have been made with. They're all CNC cut. We're all CAD engineered, put together, then we cut them. This was still the old school device that Hermes has, where the lion walked with it. I walked away with it. On the dry lake bed, I saw these giraffes. I followed them for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, because I was waiting for the light to get better. And whereas they're walking away from me, in this case, or at some point, they started walking towards me, and I picked up the location or where I thought they would cross the road. And just before I got onto the road, I just put the device down there, dropped the device, and then walked off. Not walked off, in this case, drove off. And I drove far away and waited and waited patiently. And then these guys came closer. The first guy came. I started photographing him. He sort of got nervous. He started watching where the sound is coming from. He stopped. I know it looks like two guys at the back, but when you look carefully, it's actually three guys down there in the bottom behind. The third guy, or the last one, is actually covered up. And the two of them walked along, you know, they came up. I've got all the shots of this assembly happening, but I never knew what I was capturing until the giraffes crossed. I picked up the device. I started going through the photos, and this shot was there. Blown away. What a shot. You know what I mean? It's luck. You know what I said? Luck is the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such a tall animal, and you managed it. I mean, this is pure blessing.
It's just, you know, I think the viewpoint being low down there is what makes it so different, so unique. And it's not something that, you see, the thing is that it's such a different viewpoint that it's not something our eyes see regularly. Yeah. And when a shot like this does appear, it's like, God, this is different, because, you know, we are used to sitting at that 1-2 meters height in a vehicle, that thing, and we can imagine things that way, but we never imagine it from this angle. And the same thing with aerial photography. You never imagine it that way. You know, you're always imagining it in a different way. Yeah.
You know, I think you have 1,000 questions so far queued up on Facebook and YouTube.
Let me go through.
Go on. Unleash them onto me then.
And Peter's all thrilled to see you. He been messaging me that you are such an awesome person and such awesome images and your energy.
I can talk to myself for about an hour there. Huh? Well done to me.
Abbas Kapadia is saying, Gurcharan, the dramatic clouds give you a wonderful wildlife, a different, fantastic look.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So again, a couple of people are asking about the focus. How do you focus in such type of photography, which we discussed? But if you want to,
again, I'll repeat it. It's I just use autofocus. Depending on the camera and points that are available. What I'm loving about that new D6 is the focus ability of it, and not only that is before, you know, we could only focus in maybe that sort of central or open to the whole frame. With the D6, you can actually focus as a long square line. So no matter where the subject comes, you just have to estimate the height of your subject, and that thing will focus just, if you can say, that top end or that lower end. If I use my screen as or that section, you know, you can just put, I want only focus in this plane, and it does it so beautifully. I mean, Talking about, I'm not here to sell a camera. I'm not here to sell a camera, but I took so many flying birds with that camera, and it didn't fault once. It was so fast with that 3D tracking. Yeah. And I'm just beginning to imagine that once that focus system trickles down to maybe the 850 or the Z7, to those sort of high megapixel cameras, it'll change the way I photograph, honestly. Even with the D6, I've already, you know, like, do I need to make a device for the D6 now? Full time? Do I need to buy the D6 now?
We have a question from Tiny Gatura. Sorry for a dumb question, but do you get cameras with a silent shutter that wouldn't grab the attention of an animal?
It's not a dumb question. It's a very valid question. And the answer is yes, you can get that. You lose the factor of reaction. So in this case, the giraffes are looking, or the last photo I showed, the giraffes are looking at the camera because of the sound. A lot of the photos that if there was no sound, I think you'd miss a lot of shots, but you'd get a very different type of photography as well, which would work still. It still would work, but yes, you can go in, and I know on the Z7, because it's an electronic shutter, you can silent it. On the D850, you can silent it. On now the D6, I know you can silent it. On the D5, I've never tried. Even though you have the function or not, it's not a priority for me in that camera. Yeah.
Somebody want to, like, would have loved to see your face while your camera is getting crushed.
Only one guide has had that opportunity. You know, literally, you wouldn't believe it or not, I had my 200, 400 D5 in my hand, but I couldn't do this and take shots of what that elephant was doing, because I was like, and even the guide with me is like, haya, guch, haya, guch, haya, haya, guch, you're in hand, you know, it's in Swahili, and he's like, it's going.
Do you have a photo of the end product, how it was, just to show people?
I absolutely do. You saw it. The camera is perfect. Other than I've got a shot, I think, of the D750 somewhere in my phone, where after the one elephant came, picked it up, tasted it, didn't like it, and then, you know, it kicked it about for that shot I was mentioning with the trunk and the Land Rover and all that. And I came back to the workshop and I was like, guys, this camera needs to be cleaned seriously. It was in a very bad state. Yeah. Sorry, your question. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you use Watermark?
Because I am running off my Lightroom catalog, but everything on my social media will have a watermark. Yeah, because what you're seeing is literally directly from my Lightroom. You're not seeing me exporting and then working on it and then putting it across. So it's literally, that's the EXIF data is literally the EXIF data of the photo itself. I've not doctored it in any way whatsoever. Yeah.
And Hari Varijakshan is asking, he's saying it's all breathtaking photo journey. I wonder, how do you manage the camera settings?
You know, this is a question I get asked quite a lot. And to be honest with you, my answer to that is, when I started my camera journey, my biggest thing was always, what camera setting? What camera setting? What camera setting? And when I was stuck in that life, the art wasn't there, because you're so busy trying to work out technical data that you forget that photography is a work of art. It's like the animal is your brush and you're trying to make something beautiful with it. You have to put in a lot of practice to this before you begin. I mean, I only shoot astrophotography or something very specific that I want to make, maybe rim light in manual. Otherwise, everything else I shoot is either shutter priority or aperture priority, ISO on automatic as well. And I want to get my first shot, because, you know, one day or something happens, a leopard comes out of the bush and you don't have time to understand oh, damn it, my ISO was at 100 and I needed ISO 500 or I needed ISO 2000 because the shutter speed was too low and every shot there is now blurry. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to control your camera slightly better. So I would then say, look, automatic ISO. Some situation like that comes up, get your first shot. It might even be 20,000 ISO. Get your first shot, get your second shot or whatever you want, get your first brrr, and after that, move it to manual and start playing around. At least when you go back to your friends or you go back to the lodge, it's very nice to sort of say, I saw a leopard and I got a shot. Look at it here. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at least you got the first shot. Not talking about showing off. The idea is that when you have the first shot, you now have a base setting. You now know what the camera will use to get the shot right. And then now work backwards and say, okay, I want to bring down my ISO because the ISO was too high. But to compensate for that, I need to bring down my shutter speed as well. Or I need to drop my aperture or increase my aperture, whatever you want to do. But at least it gives you a base to work from which you start mucking around. To be honest with you, yes, I can look outside and say, the ISO is going to be very high today. But I can't look outside and tell you the ISO is going to be 25,000 ISO. No, that one the camera is going to decide. So don't stress too much about it, especially guys who are using FX cameras. If you're using D850, D5, Z7, don't worry about it. Just say you want how much depth of field. Look at your exposure. Is the exposure too dark or too light? Use your exposure compensation, change it to what you feel like you want it, and let it shoot off. And if you're shooting in RAW, once it comes into Lightroom, you can fix it if you get it wrong the first time or the second time. But this is where you as a photographer, the improvement comes in. Pole pole or slowly, slowly, that's Swahili, by the way. Slowly, slowly, it'll come in, you practice, you understand, okay, last time I made this mistake. I'm not going to repeat it. That's why I have 250,000 shots, because 240,000 of them are mistakes.
That's always true.
Based on that, Sridharan is asking, do you use auto ISO for these shots?
Yes, I use auto ISO for all these shots. Yeah.
Do you set a cap or direct
Maximum.
Let me tell you a secret. I buy a new camera, I take it out of the box, I put it in shutter or aperture priority, I put ISO auto, I then decide to put the grid lines in the viewfinder. And one more thing that I really like to do is I change one of the shortcuts for image review. So if I'm holding the telephoto and I want to see the shot, I just click on the shortcut. I don't have to take my hand off to do the image review. That shortcut, and that's it. You ask me about any other camera settings, until I'm not stuck, I'll be then calling, hey, mate, what's this camera setting? I don't know. Let me YouTube it. Or let me Google it. So I make sure that I have signal in the park so I can Google a setting if I'm stuck. Literally, I learned with a lot of photographers, friends, or not a lot of friends, some friends of mine went for technical classes on photography. And when they do these technical classes, they understand what sharpness means. They understand what it means. But you find that they lose the art. I'm not saying technical is bad. I'm saying it's good to understand your exposure triangle. But once you've crossed understanding the exposure triangle, it becomes a work of art. It's no longer about, a question I've always asked in my workshops these days, and I say, list out to me what you think are the most important factors that create a good photo. And some clever guy always will say, focus. Yeah. So I'll say, we as photographers will go and look at another photographer, and to put him down, we'll say, the focus is bad on this shot. Look at this guy. Yeah. But we are a small number of photographers. There's a bigger picture of people who enjoy art. And you go and look at this guy's photos. Maybe he's got a big following or a small following. He might have 5,000 likes on this particular shot. But you and me as a photographer will say, but the focus is out. But not everybody understands that. People love the factor of composition. So composition is what I always say is the key to a photo. If you get your composition right, even if you get your aperture wrong or your focus wrong to a point, not that the fact that it's completely out of focus, but to a point, maybe it picked up the wrong point or something like that, the shot will still work. If you're using it for social media, it'll still do amazingly well. It's only until you print it out at a meter or something like that, and then it looks a bit funny. But then if that's what happens, use anti-reflective glass and stick it far away. It still work fine. You know what I mean? It'll still work fine. Don't worry about it. There's many ways of print it on canvas or something like that.
Shortcut.
So don't worry about it, guys. You know, start believing in art, start believing in yourself, and start portraying what you want to show. Not because, oh, Gurcharan has this shot, I want to go and get that shot. And when you start following that trail, you don't become an individual, you don't become something special, you just become common. Yeah. Okay. That's, you know, look, I have no teaching about, or no one has ever taught me about low-level photography. It was just an evolution. I started off with telephoto. From telephoto, I got, you know, you take a photograph of a lion yawning and you post it. Then the next time you get a lion yawning with golden light and you post it and you say, I got a golden light lion yawning. And then the next time you go one step further and you get backlight with lion yawning. I think you finished all of your lion yawning. What more are you going to get with lion yawning to make it special? And if you're the guy who posts a lion yawning every day of the week, I'm sorry, you're boring and I'm never going to follow you. But if you're the guy who takes it out of the box and you find a lion yawning with another lion face in it, I was judging a photography competition in the Mara. And one of the photos was two lions mating on the top of the rocks. And they were high above, so it was a lower sort of looking up at the lions. And the male had his sort of, should I say, the female has the row, you know, at the end of it when the growling starts. So the female had her mouth open this way, growling, and the male's mouth was directly over. Such a beautiful composition. It was such an amazing shot. You know, something different. I know it's still telephoto, it's all that, but you know, you're trying to pick up that moment where something is different. Even though you go through 5,000 shots, but that one shot that's different, that's all that matters. The other 4,999 is the discount. Have them on the side.
So we have a question from Pranav Chada. Hi, Guj, please also talk about the company that insures your gear, and how can I also go about insuring my gear?
Drop me a message. I'll drop you a company name. I don't know the name of I know the salesman comes in and he does that. But what in my advantage or what I have done, and you guys can do something very similar, is you don't need to insure only your camera equipment. Why don't you insure your contents of the house and add the camera equipment into it? Or you're going to have some travel insurance, make it as travel insurance that you've got camera equipment, because, okay, in my case, the risk is it might get crushed a bit. But in another cases, it could get stolen, or you could drop it and break it, or you were crossing a river, water came in, it got wet, or it was raining, it got wet and it got damaged. There's so many other reasons that you could damage it. So please, you know, try and do a blanket cover for damage, loss, failure, something like that. You know, I think the D6 was $6,500 or $7,000 retail price, and you don't want to take a risk losing that just because it slipped out of your hands, it dropped. I mean, I know a photographer who had an 800 millimeter on a D5, and he had put it on his beanbag on the car window. And he said he just put his attention away for a second to find that the camera is missing. And he snapped that 800 millimeter in half. It landed on the ground and it was in two pieces.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
exactly. Yeah, it's painful. You know what I mean? It has the potential of spoiling your trip. Yeah, you spent all this money to go all the way out there. It has the potential of spoiling the trip. But had you had it insured, hypothetically speaking, you just call the local dealer. Have you got this camera? Lens? Yes. Send it across. That's a fight you will do with the insurance company later. A few hundred on that much amount of money is nowhere. It's going nowhere. But at least you had a lens to carry on the trip. I don't know if you noticed, but you know that photo with the dramatic sky and the single tree?
Yeah.
The bottom right-hand side was out of focus. The reason is a couple of nights before I went to do astro, and I bought this brand new tripod. I was very excited to use it, but the shoe in the tripod, or the shoe on the head, had a particular direction of mounting. My old tripod didn't have a direction. This one had a direction. I put it on, looked around, came back, D5, 1424, f2.8 on the concrete floor, screen broken, lens cap broken, and that part of the lens out of focus for life. Simple enough. I spoke to Nikon Dubai. Guys, screen is broken, camera still works. We recommend you change it because it will allow moisture into the camera. For that reason, we recommend you change it. Fine. Work me out a date. Which so-and-so, or I sent the camera, or in Dubai. I came, I dropped the camera there. We had the screen changed. And because we have such a good relationship, Nikon didn't charge me.
Lucky you.
So we have.
But you know where I'm coming to, yeah? So, yeah. So if you guys are in Kenya, drop me a message. I'll share the guy's number, and please go ahead and call him. I'm sure the guy's out of Kenya. You can't really call him to insure your stuff. Yeah, but maybe you can. I don't know if maybe you can insure the stuff in Kenya. So if anything happens, you can pick it up. But if something does happen and you're traveling and you're going back to India, or you're going back to Dubai, or you're going to Canada, or you're going back to your home, trying to do this or this over email is not fun. So try and find a local company that, if they insure your vehicles. In my case, we have our office insurance and the staff insurance and all those insurances, and the equipment in the office and the equipment of the business equipment is a D5 and a D850, 200, 400.
Good.
I think Nitin, a friend of us, I mean, you know Nitin, right? He was talking about
Nitin Michael, yeah.
Insurance a week ago, and because even I want to get it insured over here. And he said there is something which can go international, and maybe we can share it in social too.
Yes. I think that is a really important factor. It's good that it's been picked up, especially when you're trying to do crazy stuff like mine. But as I finished with the last slide, and it's honestly true, no cameras were harmed in the making of these photos.
That's great. That's great.
No, the bigger thing is, like, I don't have a money pit, which none of us do. Or the guys who have a money pit, it's fine. But I don't have a money pit. So that equipment that I have has to last me until a new model comes out and I have the money to buy it. Yeah, this for me is a hobby. It's not, I'm not getting money out of, somebody has now told me that, Guch, we want photos for this thing, and go out and get us photos. It's not a business for me. The only thing that I do earn money from is if you buy a print. And even from that, I'd like to give so much back to conservation causes, because animals need it more than I do. Thank God I've got enough for me to run every day. But these guys, conservation, I'm not I wasn't into conservation at all. I was a photographer always. But what I noticed is that the pictures bring in the life of the animal. And if that picture and getting the life of the animal can bring some sort of support for the animal, please, I wouldn't stop it. I'll let it come forward. But rather than keeping it in my pocket, I'll forward it across to a conservation cause that I enjoy and I follow and are doing something, not just money in the pocket and it disappears. If this conservation cause is doing something, Amboseli Trust for Elephants is a big one. Mara Elephant Project is another one. Those guys are really good and they're doing a lot of work. And similar, Ann Taylor is doing a lot of great work. And these are the few guys that I have joined up and I follow. Team Savo is another one. These are the 4 that I have an integration with. And if anyone comes to me and, we make a sale from that particular photo that we did for Amboseli Trust for Elephants, it'll always do. And every time I'm in Amboseli, I'll go there, I'll say hi. Guys, what can I help with? Anything you want me to bring? They used to have a water tanker that used to pick up water from one of the lodges and have for their use in their campsite. But unfortunately, it had a crack and they'd lose around a couple of 100 liters before it would get to them. So we put some money together. We did a project with Mia Cora, with the Scarves project that I don't know if anyone has seen. And we took some funding from the Scarves project, or we got some money, and the profits from that project went to buying a tank, getting it delivered to the guys. And now they've got a new tank that's not broken. So every drop of water that does go into the tank is now available for their use at the camp.
That's
And this is where it's going for me.
Somebody asked, is that fish eagle photograph baited one?
Is it what? Sorry,
Baited.
I didn't catch that.
Baited.
No. The fish eagle had its own kill. So that was a kill of, I believe, a ibis. It was a sacred ibis. It had its own kill. And all we did was the fish eagle was chased away by some jackals. No, was it a jackal? No, sorry. There was a hippo that came out and chased the fish eagle away. So when the fish eagle flew off and then the hippo left, and I seized that opportunity saying that the food is still there and I guarantee you that fish eagle is coming back. So I went and I placed the camera at a distance I thought I'd get my shot, left it there, and I moved off as well to the distance of where the remote would. In that case, it was about 20, 30 meters. So I moved to that 20, 30 meters and I just waited patiently. I even put up the tinted windows on my car so the fish eagle can't see me moving. So it kind of ignores me, or it doesn't see me, it just sees a vehicle parked, and it came back. Thankfully, it came back. It was then frightened away by something else as well, and it flew back again for that. So it was a kill. I'm not sure what had or who had killed it, but when I got there, the fish eagle was busy eating, chased away by the hippo, and then the fish eagle came back, and I just placed my camera and worked with that. No, I definitely don't bait. Strict vegetarian. I don't even touch meat. I don't want to touch meat, so I'm not going to be the guy. So if I'm going to bait it, I'm going to bait it with cabbage and lettuce and something like that.
I have a question from Vidyasagar. Does Masai Mara or Amboseli allow buggies, or is it permitted only on private conservancies?
Only private conservancies. You can get permission for filming, and you do it as there's a long process, and people like Nat Geo, people like BBC do get those permissions. It is a long process. It can be done, but I never use my buggy in Masai Mara because there is a restriction to it. And one thing that I'm very, very cautious of, even if I do get permission in any place to use it, as soon as a lot of cars start coming to the sighting, I pick my stuff up, because the last thing I want is you guys have spent so much money coming there to enjoy the animals, and you're trying to do that, and there's this one camera which is right in the middle of a pride of lions, and you're trying to get these natural shots of lions, and then there's this one camera that's repeating in every photo and spoiling somebody else's trip. I don't want to do that, because the last thing, I believe a lot of this is always about good energy. And if I'm spoiling for other people, I'm getting this bad energy coming my way. And I don't want this bad energy coming my way. I know it's all hypothetical. You can't see this energy, but it's all about good vibes. It's about happiness. It's about working with the animals to a factor they're comfortable and happy with. And the shots come after that. The minute you start turning yourself around where you're pushing, you're hurting, you're pushing them hard, you'll find that maybe you'll get that shot one day, but in the long term, you're not you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the animals, you're hurting the environment. And tomorrow, if we don't have any animals, what are we going to photograph? That is the message from me.
Yeah.
And Seth Froze is asking, do you use exposure bracketing? Exposure? No. Madhushri Birla is asking, do you give online classes?
No, I don't. These are the only ones where you find me going through. Yeah, it is a good idea. It's something to think about for sure. From all these classes, I'm now investing in cameras and lights and second screens and all that sort of stuff. Who knows? The future might hold them, but at the moment, nothing.
Yeah. Karthik is asking, the Cobb the trap you were talking about, is it available in India?
Oh no. This is specifically made by me for me. Yeah. It's not a product you'll find on the shops. Whilst I have been talking to Nikon to try and get their R&D team to make something very specific for general market use, it hasn't really gone in well at the moment. It'd be nice to have some sort of a device which has remote trigger, remote view, what's the word about, maybe some sort of infrared or some sort of beam cut photo taken device, which is safe, that it can be thrown around, crushed. You know what I mean? I have been speaking to Nikon. I have spoken to a couple of Nikon engineers about it. I have spoken to some of the technical teams about it. It hasn't gone anywhere. I don't know if I should be saying this out loud, but I've already said it, so too bad. But I've taken it upon myself to, rather than waiting for them to do something that's available, will be available to the mass market, and it'll be out there, I'm going to keep pushing myself. I'm going to keep making my own devices. And it's that maybe engineering background and making my own devices that is, or should I say the engineering is helping me make my devices. And my love for this photography, this art, is where it's come. You asked a question, or you mentioned it early on, saying, how long have I been doing this?
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed photography. Rally photography was where it started because Kenya was a massive rally scene, but I never had equipment. My first SLR I bought maybe it was a D50, the cheapest Nikons that I could afford at that time. I bought it in 2006 or somewhere around there. From that, it sat in a cupboard in that box, like how you keep your new cameras, how you found it inside the box, the lens is disconnected, kept separate, the body is kept separate, the battery is out of the box, it's kept in a little pouch separately because that's how it came in the box, and that's how we need to maintain it. Yeah. Then my son was born, and that's when the real change came in, saying this camera is now going to be fully charged, always ready to shoot. And I think that's where I learned more about compositions, because I would take a shot and I'd say, this doesn't look good, but this looks good. Why? Yeah. And then it started coming in. Wildlife photography started for me I moved back to Kenya in 2012. So 2013 or end of 2012, when I was able to visit or got settled in home, settled in with work, and then I started visiting parks. So that's when wildlife photography started coming into the ball game. But again, it was still with a DX, still with one of those Sigma 5500 lenses. They were really they weren't sharp at long distances. So that sort of developed, and then I felt I reached a point where I needed to buy a FX camera. Luckily, work was going well, so I bought a D4, and instantly the sharpness of the shots changed. And I was like, damn it, all this time I've been saying, you read those reviews, and a lot of reviews says, oh, D7500 has the same sensor that the D850 has or the D750 has. You read those reviews and you say, if that's the same sensor, why do I need a FX body? I'm just going to buy a cheaper DX body. I don't know how those guys come up with those sort of theories, but I'll be very honest with you. FX is an FX, and it cannot be compared with a DX. Why would Nikon make a cheaper camera better than their flagship expensive cameras? They want those expensive cameras to do what you're paying for. So guys, please, be careful when you're making these expenses. I've lost a lot of money poorly investing, and I have learned now is FX, and please buy the best lens for the money you can afford. That is usually the biggest problem, the money you can afford. Try and get fastest f2.8 lenses or even faster, or at least, a lot of people try and compare the 200 500 to the 200 400, saying the 200 500 gives me more reach. It's f5.6. The 200 400 or the 180 400 in the new models is still an f4, and it will still perform better. So that f number is so important. F4, f2.8, f1.8, those are the things that you need to invest in. It takes time to build this stuff up. It doesn't come overnight. But once you've made your decision that you're sticking with Canon, you're sticking with Nikon, you're sticking with Sony, I didn't talk about those others, you're buying Nikon. Nikon.
In fact,
Nikon.
Kumar is asking why photographers are using Nikon for wildlife.
I really don't know the honest truth. The reason and I say this to everybody very openly, the reason I got into Nikon is when I was buying my first Nikon, at that time, Canon were using CF cards and Nikon was using SD cards. And I had some previous devices, not cameras, other devices that were already used. I had SD cards on my table. So that's the decision-making process for me. It was the SD or the CF. That is the reason I bought Nikon, and I'm not regretting it at all. But what happens is once you've invested the money, because you have one camera body, you have one lens, you have a second lens, you keep walking up that ladder. And once you've started taking a few steps, trying to move to a different company with equipment is trying to sell everything, to buy everything is very difficult. If you find somebody to do that, fine. But I'm stuck with Nikon from there, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I love the gear giving off. I have seen other photographers with different companies shooting together with me, struggling, whereas I'm not. And I wouldn't name other companies, there are a few out there, but there is positives with every manufacturer. Everyone is investing money. So if you are with Canon, you are with Sony, you are with Fuji, you are with Pentax, don't stress about it. It's not about equipment. This is an art. That's what I want to stress out. This is an art. You are working as an artist, not as a technical something. It's about art. And the Pentax, the Canon, the Sony, and definitely the Nikon, which I've proven, will capture you the images. And that's what you're looking for, images. I know many people will come and say, oh, what are you shooting with? Canon? Oh, or you're shooting with Nikon? Oh, but Nikon cameras this and Canon cameras that. It's like, look, it doesn't matter. This, and this is all that matters.
Totally agree.
It's all that matters. Yeah. And you need to work away from, I do use it as a joke these days, and you're a Canon user, step aside, yeah? I use it as a joke. It's just as a joke, but it is you, the person, who will decide what the setting is. It's not the camera that decides, unless you're shooting in full automatic, but you need to make the camera understand what you're trying to do. And the camera will pull through some amazing results. It's you to think about what you want it to do.
Yeah.
We have one more question from Aaron Ferreira. Sir, as a beginner, how to do a low-angle photography? Maybe how to begin?
The monopod, simplest way. You will need a remote. Trying to do it on a timer works, but it's not so good. If you can't afford or you can't get a wireless remote, get a wired remote. tape up the wire to the pole so it's not dangling, it's stuck somewhere, and pick it up, get whatever is right, take the shot. Live view is great for that. If you can get a camera with a tilt screen, even more better, because now you can see what you're doing. However, I know photographers who I've shot with and I've taught how to use. They didn't even do it in live view. Just pull it out, click, 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 click. I've clicked 500 shots, and one of them was even selected for an award. So it's not about being able to see. Sometimes luck comes in blind. Even if you're blind, you get lucky. You know what I mean? So go out there, try, practice. It's all about practice. Because what I've seen with all new shooters, you spend a lot of time playing with settings and manual mode because you believe or you read that manual mode is the best. Yes, manual mode is the best. But once you have an understanding of what's going on, as a new shooter, you don't have an understanding of the exposure triangle so well. And until you don't get that understanding and you don't, I'd like to say that I could close my eyes and I know exactly where every button and function is. I shoot interpret quite a lot because if I am in a situation where I'm trying to photograph this lion that was sleeping and suddenly it got up and ran off, all I need to know is my thumb scroll once or scroll twice. I know it'll be at around 1,000-ish. It'll come there. And again, the light has dropped too much. Why play around with 2,500, 200,000 ISO? There's no point in it. I go the opposite. Lower your shade to 1/10. Take it now into panning. Now get shots that are panning. Make them artistic. Why fight with? Then go back to the lodge and have this discussion. But your camera's ISO can handle, and your camera's ISO can't handle. And I tried this and it didn't work. And you come to that situation where you say, forget all of you guys. Look what I did. I went completely the opposite. And many times when I'm with other photographers in the vehicle, because you can tell the shutter speed, camera goes, and then panning. Oh, what setting? What setting? Tell me your settings, and I'll just be okay. This is the settings I'm using. Okay, fine, thank you. Yeah, and then they start panning as well. Yeah, because suddenly they realize, oh, damn it, that's a new way of doing it. And if you want to test yourself as a photographer, go out with other photographers and try to beat them in the same situation. Yeah, you can now look at my shots and assume I'm wow, but you could come in with the same equipment and put together side by side in the same situation, and you walk away with better shots than me. There's no way to say that I'm great or I'm amazing. I don't believe I am. I'm just believe that I have this evolution that's taken place within me to find different ways of shooting, to try and beat all of you guys out there. So what are you guys out there going to do to try and come and beat me? There's the competition. Go out and do that. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Have you checked, Hermi, have you checked Facebook if there is any?
Yeah. Or I think I have clear
almost
covered.
Why are you doing that? I've looked always at this way, saying, once you've bought very good quality, a D850, for example, there's so many professional photographers out there using D850 for everyday work. And then they'll have maybe a 70 to 200 2.8 or something like that. And my biggest eye-opener was, okay, I follow these great photographers, David Lloyd, Marcel Van Nostron. These are guys I follow and I enjoy following and I love the art. And then Marcel used this camera. I've got the same camera. David uses this camera. I've got the same camera. But my photos aren't equal. His photos, you know what I mean? So that is, I'm looking at this camera on the table and I'm saying to myself, I've got the same equipment. So it's no longer about, wait a minute, before it was like, but he's got that amazing camera. That's why his shots are so amazing. And then you went and I bought that, put those amazing equipment on my table. And I'm like, but my photos are still shit. What am I doing about this? Yeah. That is the awakening I had. Yeah. That I've got now all the equipment that would get me or would be those shots that these guys get. And these guys come from all these countries into Kenya to get these shots. I'm based in Kenya. this is, 3 years old. Nairobi National Park is around the corner from me. How am I going to now put myself on that table, equal or better to these guys? That's what the question you'll have to ask yourself. And until you don't find the solution or you don't push yourself hard enough, you won't get there. And sorry, guys, there's no shortcut to this. You have to go out there. You have to push. You have to spend 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening. By the time you get to your table or whatever it is, go through all that dust, get different skin colors on yourself. And until that doesn't happen, you have to go there and do it. You have to spend the time. There's no shortcut. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Great session, Guch.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
It's amazing. Yeah. Amazing. It was really, from you. I remember the day we met during the opening launch. I mean, in Dubai, it was, I think, the 850 launch.
Yes, that's where we met. Exactly, yes.
Person to person, yes, that was our first meeting. And from that day onwards, you were there always, just a call away or a message away. So thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it for your sharing your knowledge, your images.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hear such beautiful words from you guys. I mean, you two are such amazing photographers as well. I know Hamis had the D6 before I had it to test out. That is, there is a guy's stance of amazing stuff. Nisha is crying because she didn't. You went to Canada. So, on the positive, on the positive, I was doing a launch for Nikon on the D6 Wednesday this week with all the pro photographers. And there was a comment saying, where is Nisha? Or why is Nisha not here launching the camera? And I was like, damn it, it's me, not her. Yeah. Let us guys come up as well, slowly.
I'm definitely missing Africa. And the moment I moved out of Dubai is kind of, in last 10 years, we tried 1,000 times for an owl. Neither me or Hermie got even once. I moved out of Dubai. Hermie is like getting a shower of owl, different types of owl on every weekend.
Have you ever heard this word? And it's very important. And I'll say it's called nooks. It's an African word for bad luck. Thanks for letting me. I'm not going on a get with her.
I'm all by myself over here. I'm struggling, but I had my moments over here with the birds on and off. But then,
I was because of that Nikon D6 only, I got to explore the desert part of Dubai. It's the first time I'm exploring because I couldn't go anywhere else to test D6. The only option left was in the dunes. So I started exploring the place. That's the thing. Like, you need to go out and see for what.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity I picked up. And I said, look, Nikon, all your ambassadors are in lockdown. I'm here. I can go to the park. I'm here. I'm waving. Can you see me?
I need to do something over here too. Nikon Canada, please, I'm here. Do something.
It is, and we all know, for guys who are out there and you're listening as well, is please attend workshops. Go and meet other photographers. Go and meet other peers. Go and meet, I had, to be very, very honest with you, I had done this monopod trick long time ago, but I was totally unsuccessful. And I'd used my D4 with my 70 to 200, trying to get these lion photos. I couldn't get stability. I didn't know what I was shooting blind. With a wide angle, shooting blind is not such a big issue, but with a telephoto, shooting blind is a bigger issue because it's so much, the angle is so much less, isn't it? And I failed at it, or I got something, I wasn't impressed, and I put it away. And that day we met, I was sitting on the same table with Marcel.
Yeah.
Because Marcel was the one who was launching the D850. And Marcel has this mad shot of a lion roaring towards the camera, charging towards the camera. And I asked Master, I was like, Master, what's the story behind the lens? How did you get this shot? Did you get someone to poke it, or what did you do? And he goes, Guch, you know how lions are always asleep. And all I did was I put my camera on a monopod, put it out of the window, and while I was putting it out of the window, from nowhere, this guy burst out towards me, or this male lion burst out towards me. Lucky enough that I had obviously looked at the settings, because I was now taking it out, and had the remote in hand, and I was able to take all these shots. So it was being prepared and luck put together. But if you're not prepared, no matter how much great luck you have, you won't. And I was like, Master, the reason here with the D850, because I've seen the flip screen, and I'm thinking of doing that with a monopod. He goes, that will work beautifully. And that particular day, I'd already put my D850 order in. I was like, I'm having that camera. And that one camera, leave alone the D4, the D4S, and the D5, they've all done really beautiful work for me. And I'm not saying anything bad about them. Or they are amazing. They brought me to my journey. They're all part of my journey. They brought me where I am today. But what changed my journey was the D850. That flip screen, that monopod, that wide angle view, or trying to push for that wide angle view, that's what changed my journey. And today I am, I think, highly known, not for my regular photography, but for my wide angle or aerial photography, and mainly this low level stuff. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And that's, so, you know, go on.
Before we end the session, I have one more question from Chris Logan. I have a special elephant trip coming up next year in Kenya, Tsavo, Amboseli, Masai Mara. What lenses do you think I should absolutely bring during this safari besides a 400mm, please?
I would say come with the full range, come with your 2470, come with your 7200, and come with your 400. If you are going to look to break the balance into try and go low level or something like that, consider your remotes, consider what wide angle, or if you're going to go with your monopod setup, consider what you want in those sort of situations. 2470 is amazing for that, because you obviously have the opportunity to zoom in or zoom out with it. Your remotes are important. Just trying to give you a bit of insight into how much gear the point where I own a very beautiful Defender. You've seen the Nikon video, and the Defenders these days are going up in price rather than down because their production has stopped, and it's one of those sought after vehicles. But the equipment I carry inside the vehicle is still more valuable than the vehicle itself. And you know, half of the time I'm not with a passenger. And the other day I looked at myself and I said, mate, you need to organize yourself, because I had my back equipment, I had screens, I had remotes, I had flashes, I had bean bags, the whole flow. I've got the buggy, I've got this device, and I've got that device. The passenger seat, it's now got the remote, it's got the binoculars. So, can I answer your question in a very finite way? Say X, Y, and Z? It's not true. You just have to be as prepared as you can, bring as much as you can. Unfortunately, you're flying, and I feel for you, and you need to bring a lot of equipment. So personally, if I'm traveling anywhere, minimum 2 camera bodies, one on a wide angle, one on a telephoto. Those 2 are critical. If I'm not got space, I will always bring in a remote and a monopod, or my remote and a cage. So those 4, well, you travel with.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Anything else? Any questions before we?
No.
That's it for now.
Oh, there are a lot more than that, to be honest with you. I had my Lucozade next to me.
Thank you, Guch. Thank you so much. It was really an awesome session.
It's very interesting, lively session.
No, thank you guys. You guys have put the effort into organizing Paws Trails, organizing this YouTube channel that you guys have put in. You organized that whole Nat Geo event, and you called me in to come and help support you guys with it. You guys, what you are doing for photography is really amazing. Please don't stop. And I'm always going to thank you and always be happy to be a part of anything you guys do. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of this family.
It's a family. The more people we have, people like you, because we know at this point of time or any point of time, everybody have different priorities. Thankfully, at least 70% of the people whom we are approaching, they always give a upper hand to us. They always agree without asking much questions. Not 70, in fact, 90% of the people.
And for those 10%, these two people here will give you a platform that you won't get elsewhere. So please think of it again.
And today we have you have crossed the record also. This is the longest Paws Trails live session so far.
Yeah, to us.
Is it? I've got it hidden. I can't see the time. There, 2 hours, 5 minutes. Oh wow!
It's only 1 hour, 15 minutes, but 2 hours is for the first time.
Usually I do the photo workshops for Nikon, and I think that's where the practice has come. And those workshops run for 3 hours. And a break in between. But thankfully, everyone is sitting at home. Come back and watch it again. But thank you so much, guys.
And we got a lot of viewers throughout this session as well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah,
that's important.
Thank you, Gush. So we'll meet in another session soon.
Absolutely. We'll be looking forward. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. I'm going to leave the studio. See you guys.
So that was good and amazing. Oh my God, some of the images, not some, all of those images, it's like everything got a story, everything got a moment, everything got life, and some of them feel like they're coming out of the screen. So that was magic, pure magic. And somebody like him spending that kind of time he was actually supposed to go to Mara, and he pushed that trip for a day just for us. So that's we respect you for that, and we respect you for that. That kind of acceptance and that kind of support, which that's awesome. And thank you on behalf of us and on behalf of the whole viewers. On that note, the next thing which is going to come up is going to be on 29th, right, Hermi? Coming Wednesday, we are going to start with our first live photo review. We got a bunch of, I think we got 10 images from a bunch of people. So it's so difficult for us to select one by one. So we're going ahead with 3 people on the next session. And the selected remaining people, we will be informing you in on a later date. So we can do this at least once a month. And starting on this month on 29th, so most likely next month again on the last week Wednesday, we are going to do this. And there's another thing which we would like to mention is, yes, the magazine is the next edition of magazine will be live on 31st or 1st of next month. And first we have another fabulous photographer. Again, a completely different region from the Costa Rican side, from the South American side. We have an amazing photographer going to share his experience. That is Supreet Sahu. You can check his images online, and he will be sharing his experience. Saturday, right? Yeah, that's on Saturday. And the following Wednesday is going to be something extremely new for you guys. It is going to be an art session. So people doing things related to wildlife and art. So we're going to introduce our first artist, who is, let's keep it as a surprise. It's going to be art related.
We'll announce on next Saturday.
Yeah, we will announce on Saturday. So we need your support. We need your blessings. We need to do this together. The whole idea is, learn some new techniques and get more than that. The connection, the photography, that's a different part. But what we are trying to do over here is let's get closer to nature. Let's we all need to do this together with small steps in whatever we can do. Like Good said, he is a vegetarian. I'm trying to be a vegan. It's still in the process. So we all are doing in whichever possible ways we can to do to make this place a better place, because we have done a lot of damage.
Yeah, and people who still want to share their photographs for review, we will type in the email ID here. Those who are selected will inform.
Yes, we'll be informing. So the three people, the first. If you're not in the first three, that doesn't mean that it has been not selected. Hermes or myself, one of us will be getting in touch with you. And meanwhile, you can share more images, and we are planning to do this on a regular basis. For now, the topic is going to be wildlife again. Maybe next month we will give a different topic, but let's go ahead with this one for now. And don't forget to subscribe. Please do subscribe and share among your friends our YouTube channel. It's Paws Trails Official.
So keep supporting us. Subscribe to our channel and listen to the wonderful talks by all these photographers. We are trying to bring in a lot of good photographers and sharing their knowledge with you all.
Yeah,
That's
and
it for
we
today.
definitely will check about the what's that insurance part with Nitin, our friend, and we shall update you. Check the website. It's called pawstrails.com, pawstrails.com. And if you're looking for the magazine, you can check for pawstrails.com/magazine. You will be able to see PT Explorers as well as PT Aware. These are the two magazines. I had a couple of inquiries about our book, the first edition, the Big Cat books. It's out of stock as of now. We are planning to do a second edition. We shall update you on that. But in case if you're looking for the second book, which is Arabian Trails, it's featuring 100 images from the Arabian Peninsula. So in case if you would like to get one, please get in touch with us either through our website, through our social, or via email. It's pawsintouch@gmail.com. You can do any of these things. And if you would like to share your images or your stories, and you want to be a part of any of our sessions or in our magazine, you have an option to do that. Either mail it to us in Paws in Touch, or register in the website and submit your images. More than anything, it's COVID time. I know everybody is slightly down, so talk to your family, talk to your friends. Keeping your positive mindset is extremely important at this point of time. Make sure you're going at least, talking to a friend or family for 5 days, because mental health is equally important. It's because I live alone by myself, so I understand what's the stress level I'm going through. I'm trying to be as calm as possible, but it's not easy. So speak to your family, speak to your friends, speak to your loved ones. You have absolutely no idea what is going to happen next. You have no idea whether you are going to be there or your loved ones are going to be there. So think about it, but don't mess it up. Talk to them. That's the only thing what you can do, and you need to be safe. On that note, please take care. Please stay safe, and try to be
Thank you, everybody.
good to nature. And